There is this new round of talks on Iran's nuclear program well underway now in Geneva. Germany and the 5 permanent members of the Security Council are expected to demand that Iran immediately stop development of its nuclear program in exchange for a limited lifting of sanctions. And that could have another consequence. In a country largely closed for decades, President Rouhani is taking steps to open Iran's doors to tourists. The Tourism Ministry says the number of foreign tourists visiting Iran in the first half of this year is up 26% on the year before. So how realistic is it actually to go to Iran as a tourist? With me now is Jonny Bealby, who is Managing Director of Wild Frontiers. Thank you very much for being with us. Are you seeing an increase, Jonny, in the amount of people who want to go to Iran, for starters, let alone whether they can, but that they want to go?
Yeah, I would say that statistic is quite accurate. At Wild Frontiers, we've seen a rise, first of all, this year. Last year and the year before, it was pretty much almost nobody going to Iran. This year, we've seen a big increase from there. And next year, our numbers are at least double what they were this year.
And what's the story with visas then?
Visas are a complicated issue. Basically, there's no embassy in London. So you have to go to either Dublin or Frankfurt or another place where there is a visa, an embassy. And there are agencies that do this for you. We have an agency that operates and can get them relatively simply. So you don't have to go physically yourself. You send your passport to an agency and they'll go off and do it. It's a little bit complicated, and we hope that, one day soon it'll come back to doing it in London. But at the moment, that's what you do.
It would seem to me there are so many reasons to visit Iran. They don't only have 14 or 16 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. But every time I speak to someone who's been there, they simply talk about how lovely the people are and how hospitable the people are. Are those the sort of comments you get from travellers who have been? Yes,
and they're my own personal experiences as well. I mean, I've travelled to Iran, and I think one of the first things that you get there is this enormous sense of surprise. It's a surprising country in so many ways. Of course, you know about the history. It's one of the great civilizations of antiquity, and there are amazing sites to kind of back that up. But the thing that really gets you is the people. And up until now, I think I always say it's one of the places that's least well represented by the government that represents it in terms of the people that you meet. They all seem incredibly intelligent, articulate. They'll speak English to you. They're very well versed on Western affairs. They're very interested in Western culture. Their interest in the English Premier League, for example, is absolutely insatiable. And it goes on and on. Incredibly friendly, incredibly hospitable. You'll be often asked into homes to share tea, that sort of thing.
And the food is so wonderful.
The food is fantastic, and there's really a huge amount to go for it. And
I want to very briefly ask you, because we don't have much time, what difference you feel it would actually make as well if there was a huge influx of tourists, in terms of there's sanctions at the moment, just that extra money coming into the country.
Yeah, well, we have seen stuff like this before with Iran, where the government has kind of said they really want to increase it, and it hasn't really happened. I think if it did, I think the great thing is it breaks down preconceptions. People have rather kind of stereotypical ideas of Islamic republics like Iran, and it would change that perception.
OK, Jonny, great to talk to you. I have to leave it there. Thanks for being with us on Impact today.